Hey, what's up guys and gals, my name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about Three's Company. It's one of my favorite shows from the 70s into the 80s as well. And we're going to talk about a topic that is on many of your minds, I'm sure for many decades, and even for people today that start watching the show in reruns or even in syndication. What happened to Suzanne Somers? Why was she one of the pinnacle, joyous parts of the show? And then she left? Or was she kicked out? Or was she fired? What happened that the amazing Suzanne Somers left Three's Company? She was replaced later by other actresses, of course, Jenny Lee Harrison and Priscilla Barnes, in different capacities. I won't get into that in this video in particular. I mostly want to really look at the real reason and possibly go a little bit into the finances of the show and what salary had to play with this big issue. Now, when we look at the show Three's Company, we think of the three of them. That is John Ritter, Joyce DeWitt, and Suzanne Somers. Now, this is something that I love to see in the comments below. Do you see that the show was equally divided among the three? What I mean was, because it was Three's Company, was it a show equally between all three of them? Was it like the Three Stooges versus it's not one star, but three of them? Or was there one that kind of outshone the other? Well, some people would say that John Ritter playing Jack Tripper was the main individual and the women were kind of his subordinates in regards to their place in casting. But that's something that maybe we can discuss in the comments. And that is something that at least came up in regards to Suzanne Somers. According to what she was making, she thought that she needed to make more because the show was doing very, very well. It was pretty popular in the ratings, and she thought, well, people are making a lot of money, why can't I make a little bit more myself? Now let's take John Ritter for example. At this point in 1980, in which this is around the time where all of this issue with Suzanne Somers leaving the show was happening, John Ritter made $150,000 per episode, which today equates to $468,515.78. Now, let's compare that to what Suzanne was making at the same time. She was making $30,000 an episode. That comes out to $93,703.16 in today's valuation. Now, she thought that she needed to make more money because she was on camera, she was funny, people liked her, and so forth. And here is where the big problem showed up. She wanted to make $150,000 plus 10% of, well, the show in general. And so that's a big chunk of money. That is what John Ritter made plus, as I mentioned, 10%. Now, Joyce DeWitt did not ask for that in a similar sense. So there was a stalemate between the producers. Actually, John Ritter was a bit bothered by this proposition, and Suzanne Somers had her side as well. No one budged. No one really wanted to change. That created sides here. It created sides between John Ritter, Joyce DeWitt on one side, the producers, and then Suzanne Somers was essentially on her own. And they decided, well, what she's asking for doesn't really work for what we want to do. This is a show. We're running a business here, and so they decided not to have her for, that is, the rest of the series. Now, there's more that plays into it. I'm just kind of focusing into the money aspect of it, but this is essentially what the issue was. Now, this whole time I've been showing snapshots from an episode called $100 a What? That is from season 5, episode 3. That's the last episode where Suzanne Somers was in the same room, in the same, that is, set with John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt filming Three's Company, because later on they would do scenes where Suzanne was pretty much pre-recording a lot of these phone calls that she would make. She was visiting quote-unquote relatives, and that's how they worked around her, basically not filming around Joyce and John and doing the scenes they needed to do. But then later she was no longer in the show. Now, because they were having problems, if you go to the episode right before this one that I just mentioned, A Justice for Jack, season 5, episode 2, you will notice that there's essentially no Suzanne Somers. That is because she basically didn't show up. So this caused a lot of drama in regards to rehearsals and so forth. They had to quickly rewrite the script and make the scenes for Suzanne Summers, and they just gave the lines to Don Knotts, that is the Mr. Furley character, and they played it out in the courtroom scene. It's really weird to see an early episode of Three's Company without Suzanne, even though she was supposed to be in it. Now, there was a lot in this video, guys and gals, that I could just basically unwind. Even the part where Mr. Furley was basically a part that was given for Suzanne and was given to Furley. I could elaborate on that further, but I just want to give you the main idea of why Suzanne Summers left. Hopefully this sheds some light on the issue. Thank you so much for joining, for watching, for supporting. We'll see you next time, and don't forget, guys and gals, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all the supporters I have on Patreon, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Vito L, Tommy G, Ricky, David D, Citizen Kane, Sally N, and Grace U. If you want to find more exclusive content, visit my Patreon page, links in the description.